Well, welcome to another check-in. I'm so excited to join you guys outside. I love being outside when it's nice. I don't like the cold, so I'm very happy that the spring is coming and it's beginning to feel nice outside because it is my favorite time of year. I mean, honestly, who doesn't like the beautiful flowers and occasional rains? Okay, sure. Um, who knows? Some people love the rain, actually. I'm not one. But I love what the rain represents and what it produces. And so I'm here today for a little check in with you guys. If this is your first time joining, I would very much love that you just stay tuned, see what we're about here. And I really love to be able to help the community. So on Wednesdays, such as today, I do a little check in so that you guys can stay equipped with your gun knowledge and your gun skills and making sure you guys actually hold yourselves accountable for getting that regular practice that we all need. Myself included, I'm no exception to this. When it comes to owning firearms, it's a really big responsibility to make sure that we know what we're doing with them. And the only way we can actually do that is if we get regular practice. So I just like to do a little quick sound check because I am using a mic right now. And if you can hear me okay, just give me a thumbs up or let me know the sound is good. So that way I'm not sounding like I'm on mute or whatnot. Just wanted to make sure the sound is good before I continue. So if anyone could just please just put in the chat box area that the sound is great, that would be awesome. So if you are just joining, you may or may not know this already, but I am Mrs. Trouble and I'm a firearm instructor. So I really love to make sure that you guys are equipped with all of the knowledge and skills you need to be able to be safe and handle firearms responsibly. Thanks, Trouble, for letting me know that the sound is great. I appreciate it. So today, my little quick check-in conversation with you guys is centered around making sure that you can get your hands on some affordable pistols. When it comes to firearm world, they can get quite expensive. So one of the things that I've been kind of doing a little bit of research on lately is just trying to help my clients get some firearms that might be a little bit more affordable. As normally I'm quoting to you guys somewhere around um, the 500 the $600 mark, but in all actuality that could be a bit pricey for some, so I wanted to bring it down a little bit to the between the 200 and $400 mark price range. So hey, thank you so much for joining. When it comes to these firearms, I'm just going to jump right into it. It's 7 firearms that I've kind of, either shot a couple of times or been recommended and done a little bit of research on. And I'm like, okay, they're not so bad. Normally, I'm in my higher price range guns just because I know they're reliable, but there's some others that are not as expensive. And we do have to watch our budget because guns are it's just expensive out there, right? So, without further ado, I'm in no particular order, I should say. First of all, I want you guys to know that these prices vary depending on the location. So, while in some places it could be 300, in other places it can be closer to 400, okay? Now, so I'm not going to tell you an exact price just because of that situation. And then also, the firearms that I'm expressing to you guys do have different variations. So you may find some that's a little more compact, some that may be a little bit more closer to a full size firearm, all of those things. So keep that in mind as I'm going through this list of 7 firearms that are pretty affordable and reliable guns. So the first one on my list is the Stoeger STR-9c. Okay, this is like a compact semi-automatic pistol that is really priced somewhere around the $300 to $400 mark. And when I first saw it, I had a student who was using it. She was expressing to me how she didn't really know what she was buying. She went into a store and this is what they sold her. She wasn't trying to spend so much money because she didn't know anything about guns. And she was just like, oh, but she can't rack it back. And she's probably not going to keep it because she can't rack it back. Well, after working with her at the range, she was able to rack it back. So I will tell you, it could be a little difficult for some at the beginning, but once you know the right technique of doing that, it may not be so much of a challenge. Okay. So just work with it. But as far as shooting it, I felt it. I held it in my hand. It felt very comfortable in shooting it with accuracy. I like the fact that it has the 3-dot system for the sighting. and it worked pretty well. I mean, it reminds you very much of a Glock in some ways, between a Glock and like a, I don't know, like a Smith and Wesson mix, I guess. No, I'd probably say like maybe a Springfield and a Glock mix. That's probably more accurate as far as what it feels like and how it shoots in my hand. So that's one of those things you're gonna have to make those comparisons for yourself. But I do like it. It works really good. 13 round capacity, and it definitely has an indicator on it too. I really like that it shows you that it's something inside the chamber. So there's a chamber indicator to let you know that the round is inside the chamber. So it's a pretty cool safety feature to have. It does also have a trigger guard safety. So that's also something if you really like those type of firearms. Me personally, with having small children, I very much recommend something with the safety on the trigger. Hey, Michael, thanks so much. So when it comes to this Stoeger STR-9c, again, I was just really impressed because at first I was like, I've never heard of this brand before, but it shot pretty well. So when it comes to my next number two, Taurus G3C. Now, if anybody's watched any of my channels before, I've already talked about the Taurus G2. I'm not a fan of that one at all, but this three is pretty good. And it's actually come up in discussion a few times with a few viewers and other students that I've done training with. Personally, I do like this one. I don't like the two, but the three is great. It actually fits really good in your hand. It's a nice compact size firearm. It price range is between $250 and $350. So that makes it pretty affordable. So, Mike, you got that G2. Oh, I hate that thing. Honestly, it's really the trigger for me. The three definitely is better for me. I like the way that the trigger feels a little bit smoother. Doesn't take as long to get to pull it back as well. So for me, I like the three over the two. But everybody's different. I have plenty of students that shoot very well with the two, and they like it so much they went out and bought it themselves. So I'm not bashing anybody's gun because everything is based on personal preference in the first place. So what I can say is the magazine capacity is normally about 12 rounds, and it also has an extended safety. I'm sorry, external safety and a safety on the trigger as well. So you got two external safety features on it, and it also lets you know that it's loaded, that there's one inside the chamber. So that's a chamber indicator at the top of it. So I thought that was a pretty cool feature. I really like when they do that because lots of times before, people mess around with guns and they're not so sure if it's one in the chamber kind of thing. That's a really cool feature to have to let you know for a fact that there's one inside the chamber. Okay, Mike, you got the G2 for 210. That's great. That's what I'm talking about. See, it's a budget price gun, but it shoots pretty okay and it's really reliable. People like it. And the one thing I can say about that too that I've seen even for my own and a couple of students is sometimes that the slide lock gives out. So I know even for me, I actually have to get that fixed on mine. So, but that might be something that other people experience. I know I've had maybe two other students that experienced the same thing, that their slide lock wasn't as efficient as before over time. Now, my number three gun is the Ruger Security 9. Now this one, I looked at that and I was like, what is this? I thought it was a high point or something like that. I didn't know what that was when I first looked at it. But again, I picked it up. A student of mine had it. Price range is somewhere between $300 and $400. And I said, hey, this is okay. It's not a big looker if you're looking for a nice, pretty gun. Okay, I will say that. There are so many other guns out there that look better than this, but it gets the job done. It shoots well, and one of those things that it's a full size too, primarily. Of course, they had different variations, right? But the full size one holds about 15 rounds. And all of these, of course, you can say plus one. So any rounds that I'm telling you, you can always say plus one because you're going to have one inside the chamber and then still have the magazine full, okay? And then, of course, this firearm does have the external safety. So the external safety feature for some people, they really like that lever on the side that they can just push the safety up to keep things nice and safe in their environment. So everybody to each his own. Personally, I'm not a fan of external safeties. Give me a backstrap safety and a trigger guard safety and I'm happy, or one or the other and I'm happy. So, but everybody is different. So kind of pick what works for you. Price is really the biggest factor today. So my next gun, number four, is the Taurus TCP. So this one's pretty small, okay? And the one that I'm really referring to is the 380. Okay, so this capacity here is about 6 rounds or so, depending on which variation you have of it. The price runs between $200 and $300, but it's a really small, compact size firearm, subcompact even. Um, and so, it's really small, slim, and it fits pretty comfortable in lots of people's hands. But this may not be the best option if you have larger fingers or longer fingers. I would say that as well, because it is pretty small. But it is a good option for something that's like compact and you're just out and about on the go. Those type of things to be considered. And of course, it does have a chamber indicator as well, which I thought nice feature on that. Some of them do come in different colors too. I've noticed quite a few different colors on this one too. So the next one, number 5, is the PSA Dagger. I'm sorry, PSA Dagger. And that's for those who don't know what PSA is Palmetto State Armory. Okay, so PSA Dagger. It is also 9 millimeter, somewhere around a $300 and $400 budget price. Okay, and it's comparable or similar to like a Glock 19. Even the way it looks, the way it handles, everything about it feels very much similar to like a Glock 19. So if you like the Glock family, you're on a price budget, this might be a good option for you. My next firearm here is the M&P Shield. So the M&P Shield is one of those things where I have lots of students that very much like this one. I've actually experienced shooting this one a few times, different sizes of it even. So some of them are on the more pricier side, but some of them you might be able to find for around that $400 mark, $450 mark even. But some of them are going to be even more because they do sell them in different variations with different optics and things like that. Thank you so much for joining Global Glock 45. Let's see, or people can stop being cheap and get a Glock. And that's the facts. That's seriously the facts. When it comes to these guns, everybody's trying to get something to protect their family. Everybody's trying to get something that's within their price budget. So I'm not going to knock anybody for trying something that's a little budget. You know, it's one of those things that you just want to make sure you're prepared. And sometimes our money just doesn't scream, I can do this just yet. So just trying to give you guys some different options, okay? Now I got to drink a little tea here for a second. Sorry, but when it comes to all this sickness going around, it's trying to get me. You guys pray for me. It's trying to get me. Now, when it comes to this M&P Shield here, this one, I very much like this one. Comes in so many different variations. You can have different optics on it. You can have different triggers on it. And then they have different external features. Like some of them have the external safety and some of them don't. So, and you can find them in different sizes if you're looking for a compact one or closer to a full size one. Um, so that I really do like that. And I know a lot of them are sold like 10-round magazine capacity, especially for those who have to be state compliant, like, California and DC, for example. Those are places that require only 10-round magazines. So those are things that you might very much like about this one. All right, Global Glock, what you talking about here? See, if you just like cheap guns, then fine, but don't be cheap on something that's going to save your life. Good point. Good point. That's a very good point. Now, back in the day, I would argue that same argument with you. You guys have to save up a little bit more money and get something that's going to be more reputable and more manageable. But what I will tell you is, none of time has progressed. Life be life, and there's a lot of stuff going on these days. People losing their jobs, and money may not be as so good for lots of people. So I understand that sometimes we have to figure out a medium ground for the fact that we have expenses going on and cost of things just keep going up. Maybe your income isn't going up with it. So we got to find some sort of medium to help you guys, right? Okay, M&P is the only one you agree with so far. Okay, all right. So I'm glad we found an agreement here. Now, my last and final one. This is like the one that I thought I would never say out of my mouth. Okay, the Bersa Thunder 380. A Bersa. I don't think I would ever have said to refer anybody to a Bersa. But this one actually didn't shoot as uncomfortable as I thought it was, or I thought I remembered it being long time ago. But it's one of those things where I'm just like, okay, it's a 380 for first of all. So the caliber is a 380, and it's priced between 250 and 350. It's very compact. So if you're looking for something really small to conceal carry, this could be an inexpensive option. It does come with a couple of cute little features on it, like having a lock for the trigger. It's like literally a key for the trigger. And then it has an external safety as well. So if you're looking for that. But it's just one of those things, to each his own. I found some different variations, somewhere between 8 rounds and some that has you can get an extended magazine that may have 13 rounds. So that's all those things that you might want to consider when looking. Figure out what it is that you're looking for exactly, what things it is that you need or want. So if you're looking for a concealed carry gun, of course you want something a little bit more compact. You're looking for a home defense firearm, of course you're looking for something a little bit more full size. So it's one of those things that you just have to really figure out. And Drew, you are funny. You were taught to keep a 1911. That makes a lot of sense, but we all can't afford a 1911. They're just so beautiful. They're so wonderful guns. Absolutely love them. And I would actually recommend everybody to own a 1911. I mean, why not? But, we're talking about that $1,000 budget price usually for them. So that's why a lot of people have to say, okay, I have to get that later, or just maybe not right now. So that's kind of why I had to make this video, because I have plenty of students out there who always ask, well, what if I don't have 500 or 600 bucks right now, but I need something to protect myself? That's one of those things where it's, to each his own. And Global Gawk, I hear you. I hear you. I'm so sorry. I know, like I said, the Bersa, I would have never said that out of my mouth, but I literally tried it. And I was like, wait a minute, this is nowhere near as bad as I remembered it being, at least years ago. And I was like, this is actually doable if I'm on a budget and I just need something to protect myself. It's either something or nothing, right? That's just where my mind is right now these days. Especially, I mean, prices of groceries has gone up, gas has gone up. God knows what's going to happen with all this mess that's going on with people losing their jobs. So, in consideration of all of these things, I had to come up with some sort of solution for my people out there. I mean, honestly, we can't be out there just not having nothing because we just don't have the money. We got to improvise sometimes. We got to figure stuff out. Okay, now all about improvising. And speaking of improvising, any of these guns, pretty much, you can actually buy them and kind of change the trigger on it, or you can add a different sighting system on it, or you can put a red dot or a green dot on it. Those type of things to make it just a little bit more comfortable for you. You never know what kind of alterations you could do to it. You could buy it inexpensive and then add a couple of little features on there to help yourself feel a bit better about it, and you may just absolutely love it. Never know. Let's see, Global Glock, you said people pay 500 for training to get $200 guns. Hey, yeah, I mean, yeah. By the time you spend that $500, do you have another $500 for another gun? Is the question. And then let's see. Guess having something is better than nothing. That is the facts. That's exactly the point of today. Having something is better than having nothing. And that's just where my mindset went, because too many customers always ask me about what gun can I get that maybe is not the $600 price range, because I just don't have it right now. And, that's one of those things I always feel hard about, because I'm always like, no, you got to get something around that price budget, because you got to get something that's reputable. You got to get something that's going to be duration. But if you just need something temporary, then I would say go with some of these ones that's on this list. Just curious, what do any of you guys out there think about? Is there any other guns out there that I've missed that's also budgeted at a decent price? If you think of something, just go ahead and put it in the chat box area for me. I'm very curious if there's any more out there that I wasn't considering. Keep in mind that I'm only thinking about semi-automatic pistols, not speaking about rifles or shotguns or revolvers or anything like that right now. So I'll come back to another time for that discussion. But right now, it's more so about the semi-automatic pistol, doing something that's easy for your concealed carry or for home defense. Something's better than nothing, right? So as I let you guys enjoy the rest of this beautiful day out here. Now, Michael, High Point, I hate High Point, okay? I've not had good experiences with High Point at this time. I will tell you that. If you have a particular brand that I should try, you can let me know that too. As of right now, just like the Bersa, I was like, oh no, oh no. But I tried the Bersa and I was like, okay, it's not as bad as I thought it was. But the High Point, I gotta figure it out. I don't know. I don't know if there's a make or model. And plus, taking it apart really sucks. Got to use like a hammer or some other kind of tool to take it apart. I'm like, oh no, that's not going to work for me. And it does go boom. You're right. I mean, hey, you're right. I guess it would get the job done if you can be accurate with it. And that was the biggest problem for me with the high point, was that controlling the recoil was very difficult for me. I mean, it was very top heavy and it had such a flip to it. I was like, what is this? I can't do nothing with this. So, and then of course, the whole taking it apart thing really, really sucked. I was like, I'm not. There's no way. I got rid of that gun very quickly. Long time ago, we tried it just because it was an expensive gun. And it's like, oh, okay, well, let's try something else. Mm-mm. At this point, I'm not convinced to try any other high points, okay? You guys have to let me know, though, if there's any brands out there, I'm sorry, any models out there of high point that you recommend me to try. I will find it and try it. So, Global Hawk, you said you rather use a stick. I'm pretty much the same way because I might miss my target right in front of my face messing with the high point. So it's been great chatting with you guys today and just checking in. I hope you guys are making regular trips to the range, and if not, getting some, muscle memory practice, like maybe doing some dry fire in the house. That's all what this is all about here today, to keep you guys reminded that you got to stay sharp, because you never know when there's an unexpected surprise that happens. I pray none of that ever happens for any of you guys, but I want you to be equipped and ready if it does. So I really, really hope that you guys are getting that practice. And Michael, you said it works. I hear you. To each his own. You're a guy. You might be able to handle it. I'm telling you right now, I had that much upper body strength. So it just wasn't working for me. But to each his own. So until next time, I will see you guys on Friday at 8 p.m. for another great discussion. So if you haven't already, if you're new to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe. Press the notification bell as well so you can know when we do go live, or else you won't be getting those notifications. And definitely have some more edits coming your way. I'm working really hard to try to get those out to you guys. Another great works of other awesome women out there doing great things, and see how they handle the firearms. Quite interesting. So look forward to seeing you guys soon. Have a good one. Enjoy the beautiful day.